Thugs harassed a young cashier. After closing, not knowing the bikers were still inside the store, it was nearly midnight. At a small roadside convenience store, the neon open sign flickered weakly as the last few customers trickled out. Emma, a 21-year-old cashier working the late shift, was counting the register when the door suddenly swung open. "Subscribe my channel True Kindness Fact." Three rough-looking men stepped in. Laughing loudly, their eyes dark with mischief, Emma froze. She had just locked the doors minutes ago, but somehow they'd found a way in. They began taunting her, cornering her behind the counter. Her hands trembled as she tried to stay calm, not knowing that a group of bikers' regular customers, who treated her like a little sister, were still sitting in the diner section, just out of sight. What happened next would turn a night of fear into a story of loyalty, courage, and justice that no one in that small town would ever forget. The clock struck 11:45 p.m. and the night had been calm. Emma had been working at Randy's Stop and Shop for almost a year now. It wasn't glamorous, but it paid for her college books and rent. The regulars, mostly truckers and bikers, knew her well. She always greeted them with a warm smile, remembering their favorite snacks or coffee orders. That night, the last group inside was a pack of bikers from the Iron Soles. They were rough-looking but kind-hearted, always protective of Emma. They'd come in after their ride, sipping coffee and joking quietly in the back booth. As Emma started to close the register, the bell above the door jingled. Three strangers walked in, tattooed, sneering, smelling of cheap whiskey. They weren't customers, they were trouble. "Store's closed," Emma said, her voice steady but soft. The tallest man grinned. "Didn't look closed to me, sweetheart." He slammed a can of beer on the counter, daring her to say no. Emma's heart raced. She glanced at the security camera still recording. "Please leave," she whispered, but they didn't. Instead, one reached over the counter, brushing his hand against her wrist. "We just want to talk," he said, mockingly. Emma backed away, her eyes darting toward the storeroom. Little did the thugs know, they weren't alone in that store. In the dimly lit diner section, the Iron Soles were still finishing their coffee. Their leader, Mason, a tall, broad man with a thick beard and calm eyes, noticed something off. The laughter from the front wasn't friendly. "Yo, that doesn't sound right," muttered Diesel, one of the younger bikers. Mason stood up quietly, signaling the others to stay silent. He moved toward the front, staying behind the shelves. As he peeked around the corner, his jaw tightened. He saw one of the men grabbing Emma's arm, while another blocked her way. "She said leave," Mason said, his voice deep and steady as thunder. The thug spun around. "Who the hell are you?" Mason stepped forward, followed by four men in leather jackets bearing the Iron Soles patch. The atmosphere shifted instantly. The leader of the thugs tried to laugh it off. "Didn't mean no harm, old man, just having fun," Mason said coldly, stepping between them and Emma. That's not what it looked like. The bikers formed a wall in front of her. Diesel picked up a wrench from the counter, spinning it casually. "We don't like guys who scare women," he said. The thugs exchanged nervous glances, but one to drunk or to stupid shoved Mason. That was the last mistake he'd make that night. Mason didn't swing first, but when the thug shoved him again, it was over with one swift move. Mason caught his arm and twisted it behind his back, sending him sprawling onto the floor. Diesel stepped up, blocking the other two from escaping. Emma stood frozen, tears in her eyes, watching as justice unfolded in front of her. Mason's voice stayed calm but commanding. "Apologize to her." The thug on the ground groaned. "Man, we're sorry. We didn't mean nothin'." "Mean it," Mason said, pressing his boot lightly against his shoulder. "We're sorry," they shouted together. Mason looked to Emma. "You good, kid?" She nodded, still trembling. "Why, yeah, thank you, good," Mason replied, stepping back. "Now, you call the cops. We'll make sure they stick around until they get here." When the police arrived minutes later, the thugs were already sitting outside, nursing their bruised egos. The officers recognized the Iron Soles immediately. "Everything under control here?" one asked. "Always is," Mason said with a small grin. As the officers cuffed the men, Emma looked at Mason. "I don't know how to thank you," he smiled, patting her shoulder. "You don't have to. We take care of our own." From that night on, Emma was never alone. During closing, the Iron Soles made sure of it, sitting quietly in that same booth, their coffee cups full and their eyes watching over the girl who once faced fear alone. If you believe that kindness, courage, and standing up for others still matter in this world, share this story, because sometimes heroes don't wear capes, they ride Harleys.